Shri Krishna, the story of Virbai of Shergadh. Virbai was married to a kayast businessman of Shergadh's town. Around the neighborhood, she was known as the kind mother of Damodar, her beloved son. They had 2 daughters after they had a son. The 10 years of their married life went by happily. The business was booming, and the family was getting richer year after year. Life suddenly became unbearable when the newly appointed town administrator began filing false police cases against the residents only to extract a large ransom. As more and more people were being harassed, Virbai requested her husband, "Before the misfortune fell on her family, why not I take our 3 children along with most of her wealth and travel to Kashi city to live with my parents? You can stay here and handle the business." The husband agreed, and the arrangements were made accordingly. Like the Kayast family, many other families fled the town to escape the rural loot in fear. A few months later, the corrupt, tyrant town administrator was killed by a brave Brahmin, whose fortune he snatched away. The Brahmin was then killed by the town's police. The grieving Brahmin widow, who then knew the Kayast family, urged Virbai's husband to give up 2 swarups of Thakurji of the Brahmin family, as she could not afford to worship them anymore. Virbai's husband gladly invited 2 Thakurji swarups to his home. The ruler appointed a new town administrator who was honest and kind to the residents. Shergadh became a happy, livable town again. The Kayast family decided to reunite, and Virbai left Kashi city to travel to Shergadh along with her 3 children and the family wealth she was protecting. On the way, Virbai's wealth was stolen in the wee hours of the morning when everybody around her was fast asleep. She was devastated as her family's entire savings were gone. She would not stop crying. The locals gathered around the family to console and calm them to no avail. Virbai was beyond any consolation. Lucky as she was, Sri Mahaprabhuji was passing by and saw Virbai crying her heart out. Realizing Virbai to be a divine soul, the great Guru went to comfort her. Knowing the cause of her despair, Sri Mahaprabhuji asked his disciple Krishna Dasji to show her where the place the robbers hid her wealth. Happy to have her lost fortune returned to her, Virbai fell at the feet of the great Guru and humbly appealed to accept her as his disciple. Pleased with her humility, Sri Mahaprabhuji said, "Dear Virbai, I plan to be in Shergadh in a few days. I shall initiate you and your entire family as Vaishnavs. I shall sanctify Thakurji swarups your husband has already invited in your home." A few days after, Virbai's family was reunited, and Sri Mahaprabhuji arrived in Shergadh. He initiated Virbai and her family members as Vaishnavs and sanctified the swarups the family had. The swarups were named Shri Kapuraji and Shri Navnit Priyaji. The family began serving their Thakurjis with the utmost love devotion. A couple of years later, Virbai gave birth to her 4th child. Per Vaishnav norms, she could not do seva of her Thakurji for 16 impure days after giving childbirth. She was very anguished when she realized that nobody in the family was attending to Thakurji as they were all busy celebrating the baby. Feeling her extreme agony and longing, her Thakurji presented himself and asked her to bathe and enter his temple to do his seva. She was ecstatic but shocked at Thakurji's instruction and asked, "Baba, by doing this as you are asking, am I not breaking Vaishnav norms?" Shriji Baba replied in a gentle, loving voice, "Virbai, your heart is so pure and innocent. Your love for me is so selfless that the 16-day impurity does not affect you, so gladly go ahead and do my seva." Virbai was such a pious, dedicated Vaishnav. The moral of Virbai's story is that Vaishnavs must have pure, innocent hearts and selfless love devotion for Bhagwan Krishna in order to truly experience Krishna's divine love. Jai Shri Krishna.